rocking and rolling. Okie dokie. Hi, everyone. Welcome to your Future Leaders today. This is our 74th call and the beautiful day of September the 28th. We are in Play.Karma, myself and Richard. And we began Future Leaders because we really got the more sovereignty we can find in our lives for ourselves, for personal relationships, for finances, whether it's work relationships, about how we feel about ourselves, anything like this. This helps us to be stronger, more capable human beings. And we use finances on this call as just a way in. If we start to improve on our finances and we start to improve our attitude towards what happens with the money in and around us, then this has a leaking impact into other areas of field. And the reason crypto is brought into this a lot is because with blockchain, this is literally one of the greatest transferences of wealth the world has ever seen. We've never had a brand new asset class formed before. And it's a really huge, sometimes I don't think you can truly understand the scale of the size of the opportunity. It's a really huge opportunity where people can make huge changes within their life. And like anything, with huge change and huge power comes great responsibility. And that takes us all the way back around to sovereignty. We can have more money, we have more time, then we have a greater ability to do something with that. And there's no right or wrong answers on what that is. But through discussion and dialogue, we hope to shine some light on it and get some answers at least and get to our best thinking. So the general topic around this call is going to be around portfolio and strategy and mindset and things like this, and just looking at things a little bit differently. Before we go into it though, I always make sure we give anyone that is new. He says it's breaking up a little bit.
Yeah, a few of them saying a bit of audio issues, but
could be this. I could hear it as well. We'll be back in again. How does that sound? Any better? Well, you suppose we want on to carry on speaking. Is it okay for now?
Okay, guys. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, I think that is better, but you did disappear completely for 5 or 10 seconds.
All right, cool. Maybe it was useless and pointless what I was saying in that moment, or deeply profound that the internet couldn't handle it. We're going to crack on anyway, so don't worry about it. So I want to come to Anthony, Catherine, and Tara. Here was a second. Are you tethered to me?
No.
No. Okay, we're cool. It'll sort itself out, guys. We're normally pretty good. I'm tethered to my phone today. But I would love to come to Andrew and Catherine first. And just give us literally 30 seconds to a couple of minutes. We're just interested independently or collectively. Where would you say you are at within and around your crypto journey?
After you.
Well, we are, well, I am a crypto virgin. So, yeah. I haven't done anything. This is the first, well, no, in fact, I'm lying. I was in a meeting about it about 5-6 years ago, and it just kind of seemed a bit too good to be true. And then I didn't do anything with it. So now that I feel like it's not, it's probably time to learn a bit more.
So you've had a crypto kiss, but you didn't go any further than that.
Yeah.
I like that. That's cool. Mr. Wood?
Yeah, same place, really. Absolutely right at the start. Don't know anything much about it. Just thought it'd be interesting to see what people are doing.
Oh, awesome. Well, thank you very much, guys, for showing up. I hope you get some, at least a couple of golden nuggets from this call. There's always juice in everything. If you can't find it, I hope we can help you to extract it somehow. So we're going to come on to Tara. Am I saying that right, Tara? Pronouncing it
Tara. That's
Tara.
fine. You can say, yeah.
Okay. I'm British, so we get away with ever so slightly different sayings. Go on, Tara.
So I was kind of put onto this call from a friend, Brianna, who lives in Playa, and so I've just done my first investment about 2 weeks ago. So I did a little bit of research, watched some videos on it, and so I am also new to it. But what I've researched and what I've learned, I feel like it feels like somewhat of a safe investment. So yeah, so that's where I'm at with my journey.
What did you buy so far?
Ethereum and Solana. Is it Solana or Solara?
Solana. Well, depends who you ask again, but you
And
know
your
what you're
accent.
talking about.
And your accent. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. So they're your first 2 investments, yeah?
Yes, they're my first 2. Yeah.
Well, I will agree that they are good, strong, safe investments, solid things. My point of view, anyway. So that's cool. Well done for doing that. And you did that in the last couple of weeks, yeah?
Yeah, the last couple of weeks. It was a bit of a mission to buy here. A lot of the banks and the credit cards won't allow you to buy crypto.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I figured it out.
That is a little bit of a problem with our Canadian friends at the minute, but there is always a solution for everything. So well done on finding that, on discovering how you could do that. So we got one other person that's joined us, Ashta. Ashta, are you with us, my dear? You're welcome. By the way, anyone? Oh, hello, sir.
Actually, that's actually Neil. I've actually had to use a work account because I didn't know the password offhand. It's at the office, so it's actually Neil.
Neil DeFlorio.
Yes, correct.
Is it N-I? Is it N-E-I-L?
Correct. N-E-A-L. Sorry, N-E-A-L.
N-E-A-L. Perfect. Well, great to have you with us again, Neil. Thank you very much, sir. Are you well whilst you're on?
Yeah, great. You're by the lake.
Awesome. That's a beautiful space to sit and relax. Brilliant. Thank you very much, Neil. Okay, we've also got Ben with us as well, who's coming in now. There we go. So before we, just for the 3 people that have just spoken, anyone that's new, we'd like to just find out where they're at. But at the same time, just to ask if there was a question, if there was something that was stopping you taking 1 step forward from wherever you're at now, whatever that step might be, what would be a question you would ask? What would that be? Like, if that was a question, the one thing that's stopping you making a space forward, what would it be? Because if we can weave views and answers into today's call, then we will do. So that would first go to Catherine, who's not there. So it goes second to Andrew.
Yeah, I think my question would just be, if I had some money I could afford to lose, how would I spread the risk and balance that with the potential return, accepting that you're probably not a financial advisor and not permitted to give advice. But yeah, that would be that's where I'm thinking really. Where would I start?
Oh, good, simple, safe question. And this call is recorded for monitoring and training purposes. None of this is financial advice, education purposes only, of course.
Thank you.
Awesome, brilliant. And Tara?
Sorry, do you mind repeating the question one more time?
It's kind of like, so wherever you're at on your journey now, what's the one thing you'd love to know or learn about that would help you make the next step forward?
I guess to understand like the trajectory of the entire crypto world and just understand a little bit better about the different ones that you can buy and that type of thing. Okay,
so it's expanding out all the different coins that are out there, all the different tokens and projects and different ways of looking at them. And then the generic viewpoint over the next 3, 6, 9 months, couple of years, where they might go.
Yeah, exactly. Because obviously in my experience, since I bought, it's gone down. So it's hard to trust in something when you haven't seen the rewards yet, I know it takes time, so.
No, that's good. And there's a big thing within there about trust. Like what even is trust? So that's a really good thing to uncover and unravel. Just going to tap a couple of notes as I'm going, so I'm sure I keep my track on these things. Trust. Okay, cool. And so for those that have joined us, the purpose for this call in general, we're talking portfolios, risk management, we're talking like crypto and investor mindset, these sorts of things. So for anyone else that's on at the minute, does anyone have anything that they would ask if we ask the same sort of question? Like, what is the one thing that's stopping you, or that you would like to know about or learn more about, that would help you to understand about building a portfolio a little bit better? If anyone's got any particular questions before we rattle into these.
It's Neil here. Just one quick question would be, because I've looked at various softwares like Coin Tracker, just if you can suggest some portfolio like tracking and portfolio kind of manage, just to manage your portfolio and track your gains, losses, and everything. That would be helpful. Thank you.
No, that's really good, and is really an important part of it all as well. Okay, cool. Then we'll begin there.
Is our video working? I don't know if it is or not. Is our, because mine froze, it looks like yours is frozen as well.
Is our video frozen at your end, or is it working?
It's frozen. Well, it's just black, actually. It's not even frozen.
Cool.
Oh, yes. That's what I mean. Yeah, it's weird. Because the video
Give
stopped
me a
working.
second, guys. We obviously had some technical issues earlier. How about now?
That's better.
Hey, we're back on. Okay. So, well, I'm going to kick this off then before I go to Richard, because he's got Richard. I suppose some of our early conversations really covered a lot around investor mindset and risk and stuff like that. But I want to really pick up on something that Tara just said, which is around trust. And the trust is a really interesting one. And if we're looking at the markets and we're just thinking about something going up equals I trust it, we're missing a key fundamental thing which is underneath all that, which is what on earth have I even invested in? Because I think the more that there's a really one of Warren Buffett's, I think it's Warren Buffett's major mantras for investing is only invest in something you understand. The problem is with something like crypto is it moves so fast, and if you waited until you understood it, I don't think you'd ever get it. So there is, I get that mindset of like investing what you understand. You have to understand it enough.
Yeah.
And if you can understand it enough, you can weather something going up and something going down. And Tara, if it helps, pretty much me and Richard invested right at the top of markets, and we just went on the roller coaster down. And there's beauties in all of these things, whether you're at the bottom and you feel it going up, and you're at the top and you get a dump as soon as you invest, you learn and you grow from it. But I think as you move forward from here, and certainly what made a big difference for me, once you kind of get some of the differences in crypto, and we're going to cover that because you and Andrew asked similar questions. Where do I even begin, and what's the different ways of looking at it? There are ways you can look at the 10,000 tokens that are out there and immediately cut them down into small manageable chunks and group them together and start to see them. Instead of just seeing a lot of rocks on the beach, you actually notice that some of them are pebbles and some of them are bricks and some of them are just chunks of concrete, and they are different. And that really helps to see things differently and builds trust in a different way because you know what you're investing in. And we'll cover that a little bit more, but you got anything you want to say on that?
No, I think you're right. I think it's just about trying to, as you say, there's so many coins and so much noise in the space that you can be chasing after, particularly when you're new, you chase after whoever you're listening to, whatever their advice is. As you've been in the space a little bit more, you understand, as you've just said, there's categories. So there's pebble stones, whatever you want to call them, but you start categorizing them into different buckets, if you like. So DeFi would be one bucket. And so you can decide, well, these are all my DeFi coins. So and then these are my gaming coins, and these are my Metaverse coins. So once you don't have to go to the nth degree in terms of research and stuff, but it just enables you to put them into these buckets or categories that makes the decision-making process a little bit easier.
I think if we take it down to like everyone, we talked about this on a couple of calls ago, everyone on this call here goes on the internet, and when they're typing into the internet, they type a web address. But what's at the beginning of that web address? What goes before www? 10 points for the first person to answer.
HTTP.
There we go. Perfect. HTTP, which is Hypertext Transfer Protocol. It's the stuff that makes websites that you build on. Every time you use it in Chrome or Explorer or whatever, it makes it visual. And imagine if being back in the day, you could buy shares in HTTP. That means that the bigger HTTP gets, which is equal to how many websites are built on it and how many people are using those websites, you would earn some of that. So that's the easiest way to explain the biggest bucket in crypto, which is layer one. And if anybody watched the crypto live dinner that we live streamed now that was on last week, we spent ages talking about the difference between layer one and layer two. So this whole layer one world is the same as HTTP. Bitcoin is layer one, Ethereum is layer one, Solana, Binance, XRP, Atom, Polkadot. These are all layer ones, and they're all slightly different. And some of them are faster, some of them are cheaper, some of them are stronger. They all offer slightly different variants, but in essence, at a core level, they're all competitors. But they offer different services, so people choose them. And so someone comes along to Solana, which is a very fast blockchain, and says, I want to build this product on it because I need the speed. And to give you an example, Bitcoin can do a transaction speed of 2 or 3 transactions a second. Ethereum's about 15. Solana is anywhere up to 100,000. So that's a vast difference in speed. And that's just one metric. So, but all of these are layer one. So when Rich is talking about buckets and groupings, when you start to just understand that there's a thing called layer one, and it basically means it's the bottom of the pyramid and everything's built on top of it. You don't necessarily need to understand how an engine works in a car and all these things. You just need to know that the engine is in a car and every car needs an engine. So every product that's built on a blockchain needs to be built on a blockchain, and we call those layer ones. Mm-hmm. So just understanding that in itself allows you to look at the whole crypto market and go right to the top 50 coins, meaning the ones that have got the most money put into them. And you can immediately split that into half. 50% of that top 50 coins are all layer one projects. Probably less than that a little bit. And this allows you, when you're thinking about what you're investing into, like this whole conversation is just, how do I look at everything that's going on and make some sense out of it? And after this, we'll look at like investor mindset and crypto mindset around it. But first, when you click on, I'll share a link now. I'll just put in CoinGecko. Mm-hmm. If people go to coingecko.com, just as an example, as well. I'll also share my screen if it helps. Share. So there's all sorts of sites like this, and CoinMarketCap, another one, CoinPaprika, but they order all coins out there in terms of size according to how much money is locked up in them, let's say. Mm-hmm. And when you're going through this and you're trying to work out what to buy, it can be, not surprisingly, overwhelming. But just taking even your top, I don't know, I wouldn't go any higher than 30, you wouldn't need to. Just looking at these here, the majority of those are layer one blockchains. And so if you're looking at what you wanted to invest in, it's knowing that being the layer one of this at the bottom and everything being on top of it, it has the strongest chance of being here for a long time. It might not have the biggest, fastest, bestest gains, but if you're coming from a stock market or a property space, a 50% gain in a year is insane. Yeah. You could easily still get a couple of 100% return, but it's safer. So I generally promote to a lot of people, or certainly what I do with my own stuff is I probably got 70% in layer ones, I reckon. And I'll share parts of our portfolio later so you can see, but seeing it, looking at all these things and going, okay, this is a layer one, and just learning that Bitcoin layer one, layer one, stable coin, layer one, layer one, layer one, layer one, stable coin, layer one. Dogecoin's built on Bitcoin, isn't it? It's not.
No, CLC, yeah.
Is it ERC?
Mhm.
Yeah. Avalanche is a layer one, stable coin, layer one. You know, so like up to number 13 there, other than a couple of stable coins, which are just dollar coins, they're all, everything there is a layer one, apart from Dogecoin. So you can really see them at the top, and that the reason they're at the top and so much money is in them is because people are building on them.
They've been around the longest. Most of them have been around the longest. They've got they are safest in the space, basically.
Safest in the space, yeah.
And they've got longevity. They've got more use cases, so that's why they're in the position that they're in. So people have confidence in them as an asset class and a project that they can believe in, that's going to have solid gains, but it's also a solid enough project that it feels it's got a safety aspect to it in crypto. That's that caveat, isn't it?
Would you say it's fair to say everything built on top, so layer 2s onwards, in general, are more riskier, even if just a little bit, than a bag held of the top 10 layer 1 coins?
I don't know. I think it depends, unfortunately. I mean, if you look at something like Matic, which way around? It's Polygon now, isn't it? It used to be. Yeah. I mean, that's been around for a longer time, but it's just suddenly had a bolster in the last year, which meant the project moved on, and it's had massive gains, hasn't it? So I don't think they are more risky because they rely on more things happening. But I don't think it necessarily. I don't think they're more risky, potentially. But I think, they're in development, so they're not as established. So
well, let's finish off this coin talk so we can get to portfolio. We were talking about this before we came on the call. Obviously, guys, there's 10,000 coins. Like at the top of that CoinGecko site I sent you to, and this is only what's listed on CoinGecko. There's got 9,400, and if I went on to CoinMarketCap, it would have even more. So it really is important to have some methodology to be splitting coins out. And the only 3 sorts of projects that to keep it simple anyway, the only 3 sorts of projects to be invested into is layer 1s, which is the things are built on, and then 2 different types of layer 2s. One is called DeFi, decentralized finance. So you hear that word thrown around all the time, and these are sites that help you earn interest, get loans, lend money out and get paid. You can get mortgages on layer 2. You can
insurance.
Just think about the different reasons we pass money across and somebody earns from it. Someone might get value, or somebody might get an interest return, and someone else is holding that money and doing something with it. All of that is DeFi. The reason it's DeFi is it's decentralized finance, and at the minute we live in a world of centralized finance. So everything's with banks and institutions. So that's all DeFi means. And so if you're going to look at any other layer 2 solution, things that are built on top of layer 1, you look at things that are DeFi. And a good site for this, and I've been recommending this a little bit more recently, Index Co-op. Here we go. I'm just going to share my screen. You don't have to literally do what this site does, but for people that have been in investing for a while, indexes are places where people. Oh, there we go. We're back on. Are we back on, guys?
It's gone black. Okay, you're on now.
Yeah, guys, let me know if we're back on. 1 2 1 2.
I can hear you.
That's cool. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. Screen will do for now. So index is where you group coins together. So you can either go and buy coins like this, or you can just buy the coin DPI, which stands for DeFi Pulse Index. And DeFi Pulse Index goes away and uses the money and buys all these coins and automatically sells and changes and rebalances all the time. But to give you an idea, this is someone else. This is a DeFi Pulse Index that someone has made, and they've chosen that these 20 coins are the best DeFi layer 2 coins out there. So you could argue someone's already kind of done the work for you, or you could argue you could go away and do your work yourself. This is about trust. Do I want to trust someone else to do it? But there's this is a place to begin to kind of look at, well, here's a professional person doing what they're doing, and this is how they've split it. And each of these coins helps you earn money in different ways, and collectively you're buying into that ecosystem.
I think it's a perfect way of people, you know, if this is a DeFi bucket, DeFi category, and so if you did want to go and investigate, let's say this is an index fund, so it's like it's a fantastic way to actually start understanding why people have put these into here, and you can go and investigate them yourself. But if you just wanted access to a buy one token that kind of covers all of them, then it's a great start.
Yeah, because that
even though it seems to be tanking at the moment.
Sorry?
Even though it's not having a great day.
Well, I mean, that's just in that. That's in general.
It's a Tuesday, isn't it?
It's a Tuesday, which I'm going to go on to in a minute. So 3 things to invest in: layer 1s, which are things at the bottom; DeFi, which is things built on top. And if you wanted to know what that means, you can look at these index funds and see what other people do. And the third one, which is the bonkers one, if you've not really been in crypto too long, is this thing that we call the Metaverse. And Andrew Wood, have you seen Ready Player One?
Yes, I remember it. Yeah. I think I do. If it's is it the thing you showed us with the kind of guy with the things sensors on his brain? No. I was playing a computer game or something like that.
That was brainwave controlled computer games.
No.
I mean, that's
sounded similar.
Ready Player One is a film where the guy puts on goggles and puts on a suit and lives in a virtual world. Probably a bit more like for you. Like, do you remember Lawnmower Man? Yeah. There you go. A bit like that, but a modern version. And totally different, like something between Lawnmower Man and Tron. And so these, in the metaverse, people buy and sell land, they build whole worlds, they play games. You know, it's life.
An immersive experience, isn't it, from the point of view of,
it's life in this alternative reality. And this alternative reality is being referred to as the metaverse. So this is a token called MVI. Metaverse Index. It's another index, and this would be the third thing that I would say is one of the biggest upcoming things within crypto. It's still up and coming. It's still crazy. It's bonkers. It grows. It drops. Everything like this. But again, this is someone else's view. A person I choose to trust. This is their bet on the top 20 coins at the minute to group together into what they call the Metaverse Index. And they might change it every single month, and they have automatic ways of rebalancing it. But again, it's another space you might want to invest. And we say all this because when you're looking at the 10,000 coins, how do I find the things that are relevant for me? That's the thing where I'm coming from. Is our video on? Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
So, Tara, I'm just curious from that, because that kind of came about from your question initially, which is like, how do I go about looking at the next sort of things? Does that help to give a little bit more of a framework, so then when you're going out there and looking, you've got a bit of a better idea?
Yeah, definitely. It's good to understand, like, just you explaining like the layer 1s and the layer 2s, and then this Metaverse Index. I feel like I totally, when you compare it to, say, like the stock market, just understanding, you know, managed portfolios or like index funds, and it's kind of, I guess, comparable, right?
Yeah, completely comparable. And more and more of the things from TradFi, traditional finance, are making their way into this crypto world. It's not going away. You look at the last 3 months at the 75 of the world's top 100 banks. 75 of them are all offering crypto services today. or sorry, they're either offering them or just are applying for regulation, just waiting for the thumbs up. Like the amount of money being piled in is insane. So you're going to naturally find groupings and index funds and EFTs, all these things that you may or may not have heard of, will just become unanimous and synonymous within crypto as well. So it's a good metaphor, a good comparison what you were giving there, Tara, as well. Would you have any questions on that maybe didn't make as much sense?
Me or everybody?
For you, Tara, just because you asked the initial question, was anything?
I guess when it comes to, for example, DPIs and managed portfolios, is there a way to research who's managing the portfolio to, again, like gain trust?
Completely. So at the bottom of those funds are managed by a company called Index Co-op. And if you go to the bottom, at the bottom of every page, it talks about the weighting, how it weights, how it changes what's in there, how it's maintained, etc., etc. And all of these, I would imagine they'll have a whole Telegram community, probably. Yeah, Twitter forum, Discord logos. And they have a whole governance section in terms of how decisions are made. So I'm not going to go into governance tokens because that's a whole other thing. But governance tokens help communities make decentralized decisions.
Yeah, manage the decision-making process is probably where we should probably leave it at this point.
Have a look at it yourself and see what you come up with from there, because that kind of segues us a little bit too far out. But these aren't the only ones. These are the ones that I found that I thought looked the strongest and the best. But you'll find a lot of these questions. Any good crypto community or project will have at the very least, a strong Twitter following, a Telegram group, a Discord group. And you'll usually find everything you need in there. And they're usually very community heavily run. Whether that's because they use governance tokens to make decisions, or whether because the people in charge value the 30,000 people in their community. So I think you'll find your answer somewhere within there. Does that help, at least with a pointing an arrow?
Yeah, definitely. Thank you very much.
Dan, can I ask a quick question, please, just on the index?
Yeah, sure.
Co-op. So the layer 2, when you're saying about like the index co-op, and what I could see is like the top 20 coins. So like Tara said, it's like the index fund of the stock market. Then you kind of quickly went over Metaverse index, which looks like exactly the same thing. What's the difference between them two?
Well, it's they imagine the buckets. You've got a DeFi bucket, and they've got DeFi coins ranging from Uniswap to different protocols that are kind of managing all the DeFi projects. And the Metaverse one, is it the Metaverse index, does exactly the same thing. It's bunching, it's categorizing together gaming, probably gambling to a certain degree.
Could do.
Other Metaverse worlds.
There was audio streaming on there.
Audio streaming, NFTs, where you can buy I don't know, a new hat or a suit in a game. All these different things, and just imagine they've just gone into a new bucket, and you're buying a token that basically is representative of how those different coins move. So it's exactly the same thing, but it's just a different category. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, thank you.
If you were to pull up, they might also look the same because they're on the same website, but if you were to pull them up side by side, they have completely different things in their list.
Yeah.
And if you went through them one at a time, very quickly you'd notice with the DeFi one, it's interest earning sites. Celsius, Wi-Fi Finance, Uniswap, PancakeSwap, all these things are farming sites. And for those that don't know, like farming is just an insane way to make even more ridiculous gains, high risk. They groups them all together. The other one was, like we said, Metaverse. It's all the things to do with living in this alternative reality.
Yeah.
But to look at the visual on page, they kind of do look the same. But if you went through the 15 coins together, you'd see they fundamentally have got different flavors. Make sense?
Yeah, that's brilliant. Thank you.
Okay, awesome. I would give my analogy in the UK would be an index fund of all the solicitors and accountants versus all of the cinemas, bowling complexes, and jungle gyms.
Okay.
That's my analogy. Yeah.
All right.
One's detail and money oriented, and one takes you out of your mind for a little bit.
Yeah. More fun.
Which is more fun. Okay. Am I breaking up again? Because I can hear it clicking in my ears. Does that sound okay?
Okay.
Okay. Cool. All right. So that is an opening kind of bit to kind of make some sense of all the stuff that's out there. So then I suppose the next question becomes like, let's say I'm going to ask Richard this. So let's say I've looked at all these coins, kind of worked out that I generically understand that working on what we just said, we've got these layer ones. We've got some stuff that's about money earning and interest, which is called Defi. We've got this alternative reality of the metaverse.
Mm-hmm.
How do I build a portfolio from that? Do I put it all into one, or do I split it evenly? What are the things that I would think about to make sure I'm coming into crypto in the right way?
Well, I think what the first things first is we always try and say, if you're completely new to it, you're trying to dip your toe in the water like Tara's done, basically, and you're kind of like, you're in that instance, you've done some research, you've made the move, and it might have gone down, but at least you're in to crypto at that point. But I think once you've kind of made that step, sometimes it's a really valuable exercise, if you can do it, to kind of try and zoom back out and kind of reassess, well, how much money do you want to invest? How much can you afford to invest? And kind of what's your risk tolerance? Because there's lots of different types of, we're all different types, we're all different, got different personality types, we're all different. We've got different emotions, we've all got different relationships with money. And so, we probably all know someone who has heard about crypto, got into crypto, someone's made a ton of money, and someone's gone in and the market's crashed and they've lost everything. And it's a very emotive space to be in. So it's, if you have the time and you're taking this seriously, and we always talk about, financial sovereignty from the perspective of you have to put the work in to make it work for you in the way that it works best for you, right? And so, we've developed some spreadsheets where you can kind of go through your financial position at where you are now, and that just gives you information to sort of be able to start making those decisions better, right? You probably did that early on, right? When you kind of decided, right, I need to get into crypto, or I need to get into a investment cycle, and you get in, but then you kind of need to step back and then go, well, actually, I need to look at this more seriously.
I don't think I took it. I've done cash flow and finance and balance sheets for years, but I don't think I actually took them serious for my personal finances. It's really weird. For my business finances, I did. But for me, I did it. What's that word? Like cobbler's shoes. Like I've got friends that are joiners, and they do some of the most beautiful, amazing work. And I go to their house, and it's just a constant work in progress of half-finished, shitty jobs. And yet they're phenomenal joiners or plumbers or whatever. So I think that.
You mean you know what to do, but you don't do it for yourself?
I didn't do it. But I did for my business.
Yeah.
And I did it for other people's businesses and lives, but I didn't take it personally. And I'm just being fully transparent with everyone here. I probably didn't take it properly until about halfway through my crypto journey.
Yeah.
I started about 5 years ago, and at some point I was like, I got it. And until I got it, I knew I needed to do it and work through it. So I think that's one of the things as well. If you've never done a fight, well, let's just have a see. If you've not got your video on,
raise your hand. You can do the.
Raise your hand if you've ever done a personal finance sheet. Full stop. I don't care whether you took opinion or took sense out of it or not. If you ever done a personal finance sheet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7. All right, cool. If you're happy to, raise your hand here. Raise your hand if once you did that personal finance sheet, you never really looked at it ever again. 1, 2, 3. Okay, but 4 with just saw Neil put his hand up there as well. So this is the thing. It's like I did it because someone told me I had to do it, and then a couple of times I did it because I kind of thought I should do it. Now every week I'm in there updating, and every month I do a full review. And I couldn't imagine not doing that. It's my anchor.
So our advice at this point would be to relook. If you've done it, is to redo it. Would it be? And make a point in your diary it could be every month, or it could be every week, depending on your own well, how seriously you're taking your investment journey, but also how much time you've got and energy around it.
I'm going to push back on that though. Why? Because that's the bit I didn't get until a couple of years ago, about 3 years ago. Why for myself? Because I'd never really taken investing seriously. I'd invested, and all sorts of things, some worked, some didn't work, but I didn't allocate time to it. It wasn't I didn't think about it, because it was always a side thing. I would have a job, a work, a business, or this or that. And it took me a while for me to take it more seriously. And I've got a client out here who gets frustrated with tech. I don't know if any of you on the call, like he'll hit his phone, or you know, because it's not working, and just get frustrated by it, or the detail of the spreadsheets. And I said, how much have you put into crypto? And this person said, like, whatever figure they said. I said, how much is that earning you each month? And told me how much he's earning them each month. And I said, if that was a paying client, how much time would you allocate to that paying client based on that income every month? And they said, well, based on that, like 4 hours a week. And I said, brilliant. I said, so you pick a day a week and you schedule a recurring booking in your actual client system, make a client, call it Mr. Crypto, and you have a meeting with Mr. Crypto. There's a 2-hour meeting every single week. Give it the time and energy it deserves. And that whole reframe for them was a big one for me, where I was like, wow, this actually just completely changed my whole viewpoint on life. That made me then understand the power of doing the review.
That's it. I think everyone is on this call because they recognize crypto and finance has got the power to change their life potentially. And so, you know, I think Andrew said at the start, like, you know, it's how much I'm willing to lose. That's you know, in order to dip your toe in the water, that can be a strategy in terms of building up your way into it. But I think you have to, you know, I'll come back to what I said before about sovereign finance and sovereign individuality. It's important because you have to take these. We're not taught this stuff in school at all, and it's the one thing that can have one of the biggest impacts on your life. And I've been there where I haven't taken it seriously. I've been in places where I've been massively in debt when I was younger, and later on in life as well. And it's because you don't see things happening, you know, from your personal standpoint, because you're not measuring anything. If you're not measuring anything, you're missing it. And to a lot of people, that can be very, very painful process to go through. So there is a spreadsheet in which we can share with resources we've created, which we use, which can massively, you know, benefit you guys just to start just really sort of segmenting your life in a financial way, because then you can actually see what you can afford to lose and what you're willing to risk, because they're this kind of the same thing. But once you've got a better understanding of what your position is and what you need on a day-to-day basis, monthly basis, and how your investments are working for you or against you, then you can measure that much better, and you can do that thing and meet Mr. Crypto whatever time works for you, monthly or weekly.
This brings in something really good that Tara said earlier, and what Andrew, because I want to come to Andrew's point, because Andrew starts with, you know, what do I do within crypto if I've got money I'm willing to lose? So he's already
made some sort of decision.
He's already at a certain viewpoint of how you view things, and nobody wants to lose any money. But rule number one, investing, don't invest what you're not willing to lose. I don't care how safe something is, like it's just it's a good space to begin with. But then when we move to trust, there's, I don't know what the relationship or the algorithm would be, but like trust times the value I place on the money I'm willing to lose, divided by how much safety I've got outside of that, equals whether I would invest. Something like that. Because trust, if Richard came to me now and said, I need $1,000, I need it right now, I just got to go, I'd be like, I'd maybe be okay with that. If he came tomorrow and was like, I need 100,000, the level of trust we have, it doesn't mean it's no, but it's like there's a lot of conversations around that.
Yeah.
So, but if I replace Richard with a dude off the street, I wouldn't have even got to the 1,000. I'd stopped at the 10, you know, before there's a bit more of a conversation. So, trust changes dependent on how we understand it, and trust changes dependent on that spreadsheet, what pops out the other end. And if you reach a stage where Tara's gone, right, I am good, I've got this much coming in, this much I've got in safety funds. I know people that have to keep 70% of their cash in cash or cash equivalents, and that's important for them. I know people that have got nothing in cash, it's all in crypto. They both have the same amount of relative trust of what they're doing. So Andrew comes along and Andrew says, I've got this money here, I'm prepared to put it in, I'm willing to lose it.
There's a thought process that's happened there, isn't there?
Yeah.
Basically, you moved along that space. Yeah.
But based on that, if someone was coming in, what I want to talk about is like, well, how do we, not necessarily practically do it, I don't want to go through all the steps, but how do we, how does one go about splitting it? What is it, some different ways that you can look at these different pots? Because there's crypto, and then there's other things within crypto. You can do something just to stake or earn, in which case you're not buying the token to, I suppose we'll look at the difference in appreciation and cash generating assets. So I'd love to just expand that a little bit, and also look at, I want to bring gains into it because reward and ROI is important, but at the same time, there's huge caveats when we start talking about this. We can only talk about historic and a little bit of prediction, which is some of the stuff Tara wanted to discuss.
Okay. There's a question there, sorry.
There is a question in that.
I suppose, I mean, one thing we talked about, and is it investor mindset? Is there a space to sort of just briefly talk about what type of investor you are? Is that important at this point?
Yeah, I think so. And the reason I would think it is important, I always use Louise as my analogy here. And I think I've probably asked at the beginning, Louise, but I assume you don't mind me discussing contextually, like you came from a property background, yeah?
Yeah.
And if I remember right from the first call, your initial MO, the reason you're coming to crypto is you love property, you're doing everything really well in property, but you kind of want to take some of that out and diversify a little bit into something else, and you've chosen crypto.
Yeah.
Perfect. So she's very clear on why she's even here. And I'm not going to particularly pick on anyone on the call, but there's people I know, and there might be people on this call who come into crypto because they enjoy I'm going to say anti-governmental, but that's actually, they enjoy the decentralization of it, that it's not as manipulated and controlled by people who they deem they don't want to have involvement with. So their involvement within crypto is a very different reason to Louise's. And I think you need to know why you're here. Are you here to want to make gains? And are you willing to take tons of risk? Or are you here because you've worked hard for the money you've got? And I just want it to be in another part and do well. So I think why you're here is really important. Yeah.
Well, I mean, before we came in the call, we were talking about this, and I just found this. If I just share my screen, I think I've got it. Yeah. And just briefly, it's worth sort of looking at this one here, because this is a general investor point of sort of topic, but you have preservers who, you're really looking at putting your money into something and trying to preserve what the gains that you've already made, or the wealth that you've already sort of created. So you're going to be more cautious in that instance. And if we're talking about just crypto, well, you're talking about layer ones at this point, really, aren't you? Because they are the safest, and obviously Bitcoin is at the top of that pyramid. So, or the bottom of the pyramid, I should say, basically, as a base thing. So you would kind of, in the crypto world, you might call it Bitcoin maximalists, from the point of view of that you would weight your portfolio in crypto to a higher proportion of layer ones, Bitcoin being the
Not
biggest
just,
one.
At this point, actually, Alex is a preservers is the top of layer one.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, you're talking Bitcoin, Ethereum would be like 80%. And then even Solana, which I love Solana, would be considered a risk because it's still in beta phase.
Yeah, yeah.
Cardano, maybe a little bit, Polkadot a little bit, but then that's it.
Yeah, yeah. But it's like the crypto version of putting your money into gold. Yeah. You know, it's kind of it's good. You got to look at it from that viewpoint. People call Bitcoin digital gold. So it's that's the mental jump that you kind of need to make. Now, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But if you can recognize that perhaps is you can stop being distracted by all the other things that come out of there. And you can sit in Bitcoin for a year and take interest in other things. And then you might start to be a little more interested. But your number one decision, if you understand the macroeconomics of the way the world is working, and you believe in Bitcoin as an example, then you would weight your portfolio into that space. But it's good to recognize that potentially is you. Now, what it says there is you potentially, taking action beyond that can be a challenge for you. But I think that's just being in the space at that point for a longer period of time. Next one, accumulator. Obviously, you're accumulating wealth, but you want more control over what you're doing. So an index fund might be something you want to do, but it might be that you're more you're going to be making far more decisions about the projects that you enter, and you're going to spend more time doing it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like at the same time, I'm with an accumulator mindset as well. You're increasing risk and reward. Yeah. So without pigeonholing anyone, is it Louise might be? It says here, you've been successful in prior business endeavors, and you've got success. You've got an inbuilt mechanism that says, I think I can work this out and I can make my own decisions around it. Yeah. Followers are the people that we would call apes or degens in the crypto space, where they will follow a YouTuber and they might have their own reasons for saying, buy this coin, this is going to do amazing, 100x gains, 1000x gains. And which one I want to buy now?
Yeah, yeah. And you would just go and follow literally what someone else sort of says.
Richard just used a crypto term, by the way. If someone aped in, that means I just went, like, everyone ran, I ran, we all bought, which usually means it's followed by a sharp dump, but that's what aping in means. But no, I didn't know degen was the same.
Degen isn't quite the same. Degen is when you know, but you should know better, but you still do it anyway. That's more like okay.
That's me then sometimes. Okay.
But sorry, go on.
Go on, Neil.
Yeah, I was gonna say degen. I have a bit of a different interpretation of degen, because it's more of, well, it's a short form of degenerate, but it's more like in crypto, what I find is, like, rather than just staying with Bitcoin and Ethereum, staying with more of the less risky, is like kind of going to the other side and getting into more of the altcoins and more of the risky IDOs and new projects. So it's kind of like, you're not just sticking to the safe bet, you're actually going and going a bit more risky and kind of going, against the herd, if you want to call it.
Yeah.
But to link that back to Richard, you could imagine some OGs going, well, then you are a degen because you shouldn't, but you're going to. Anyway.
I've seen plenty of high-level, non-shill crypto influencers, which they know they're aping into something, but from a degenerate standpoint, they should know better, but they're just going to take a punt anyway, but they're willing to throw what they're willing to lose at it as a super high speculative just decision making.
And I want to link this back to spreadsheets. You don't know what you can throw at something
until
what you're willing to lose. So Andrew comes in with a pot of money that he's willing to lose, but then you could argue he obviously doesn't want to lose it. So generically people kind of have a spread towards safety, and usually eventually people end up with a portion of their portfolio, which I call the gambling portfolio. It's the easiest word. And that's the bit where I'm going to put 0.1 of an Ethereum into something. And I know I can put that in because that's 1% of my portfolio. And I've allocated 7% of my portfolio for my gut feeling views on things.
Mhm.
When everyone's like, you shouldn't do that, I'm going to do it. And you only know that if you've got some taken stock of where you're at.
Yeah.
So
definitely.
let's put it back to this. I know I pulled us off then.
No, that's cool. I think it's a valid point, because I will always link it back to knowing what you know, understanding yourself and understanding your personal circumstances. The two things are very different, because understanding yourself is you're going to make an emotional decision, investing decision, and understanding your position, you're going to understanding your own financial position is different, because it's arming yourself with information which allows you to make decisions. Am I willing to lose, and how do I manage, you know, using this here? Once you kind of know yourself, you can go, knowledge is power, right? As long as you do something with it. Okay. So yeah, everyone will at some point have been a follower. I know I have, I know you have, and we've made gains, we made losses with it, and it doesn't always work out. So
this comes down to, again, who I think we all follow something, or we might call them teachers or gurus or friends or whatever. But I think crypto is an unregulated market, and so kind of wearing the Andrew hat with what he was asking earlier, like, how do I go here? And Tara's talking about trust. In an unregulated market, I don't care whether it's crypto or PPI with timeshares, whatever, like Snakeco, you're going to get charlatans, you're going to get people who have got a vested interest in themselves to make money. So who you trust or who you choose to listen to really is important, because unfortunately, a lot of the content out there has got an ulterior motive, which is not in your best interest.
absolutely.
So I think that is really, so we're always followers, I think.
Yeah.
We just over the course of time start to learn,
Filter that out.
And so I think one of the things we try and do in FLT is, how do you fast track someone to a greater amount of, look, this is noise, listen to it, it's got use in it. But if they're like, oh, these are the next 3 coins that are going to do really, really big, just understand that if you're going to put into those, you could be aping in. And just understand that if you're going to do that, use that portion of your portfolio that's for aping. And I consciously know, I am jumping into this out of love for you or FOMO or whatever.
Well,
if you know that, do it.
Comes back to your trust point earlier, doesn't it? It's like, how much trust have you got in that, and recognizing your own emotions around that, really. And the last one, I don't know how much this is relevant for a lot of people on here and myself. You know, you can be an independent investor, but you're going to be formulating your own decisions and your own spreadsheets and profiles, and you're going to be so hard line about your own decisions that you kind of you'll have confidence, but you might miss the benefit of what other people say, basically. So
is this a very hard line steel person?
Yeah. So you're going to have every spreadsheet under the sun. You're going to have analyzed every single investment you make. You might have a smaller amount of investments, but you'll know. It's more analytical, basically.
Which is why you're not going to listen to someone else, because if your spreadsheet says no, why do I even need to listen to your opinion? Because your opinion is probably based on sentimentals, which have got no tangible value.
Exactly. Yeah. So I just hope that, and it's nice there's only 4 there, basically. But I think, I don't know, I hope that certainly helps people. Just, you know, would anyone recognize themselves from any of those descriptions there? Anybody willing to sort of say what type they are?
Yeah, I'd say I'm a follower right now.
That's cool. Well done for owning that, Tara.
Yeah, I was about to say the same. I'd be happy to follow at this stage. I certainly know I don't know enough to begin doing the research that I probably need to do, and I don't believe I've got the time to do it. Much as I like what you're saying about, if I was to apportion 4 hours a week because I recognized it was worth £1,000, then I suppose I probably might change my mind.
But right now, the answer to that, Andrew, is it's not worth it. It could be worth £1,000. That client that I spoke about earns $4,000 a month from passive cash generating assets in crypto. Yeah. So my question, that's coming in, and I was like, what's that worth? When we talk about potential, I mean, the potential for some of this stuff, well, in theory, we'd have no other job and we'd put all of our time to it, but that's not practical either. So I think it's really fair to say you begin as a follower, because remember we took people through the second Knights Fund, and we ran a fund called the Knights Fund, and we help people invest in, you know, super high risk, super high reward. And you're trying to find the underdogs, and you only need one to come through, and the rewards are insane. But when we sent people up to go and do research, you know, 5 days later, we checked in with everyone, and they were delighted.
Yeah, bamboozled.
Bamboozled, because it's like, where do I begin, and how do I know the article I'm reading is not a shilled article? Shill means has been written intentionally to suck you in and isn't necessarily the truth about the project per se. So I think following is a really good space, and we learned this within FLT. It's why I share my portfolio more often, and it's why recently I've simplified it down. If anyone was in the group, you'll have seen Kirsty ask, what would you choose to invest in? And I just said 3 things: layer 1, DeFi, and Metaverse. And you can just buy the DeFi token, and you can just buy the Metaverse token. I haven't found a decent layer 1 token, but I just shared everything that I think makes a good layer 1. I shared the percentages, and I said you can go away, open an account, and just buy them. Obviously, it's like ever, I don't want to have to keep saying it. I know we do kind of, but none of this is investment advice. This is just our experience and our best thinking and what we do. And it comes down to trust. You reach a stage where you're like, I got into something recently, January. I was doing so much research on it. And then I reached a stage and I was like, hang on, Daniel, do you want to get in it? Like, do you want to get into crypto? As an example. Yeah, I do. All right. So I don't need to know all the answers. I need to know enough information so that my level of trust is higher than how much I'm investing. So I wanted to put 10 grand into this at the beginning, 10 grand dollars. So I was like, how much trust do I need to be okay putting 10 grand in? That was the only question. As soon as I asked that, I was like, oh, I was ready a month ago. Then stop researching and just go in. And it was based on circles of friends, the research they'd done, the time they'd been in it. They'd shared with me downsides, negatives, all of these things. And I was like, I'm okay. I'm good. I'm willing to lose it. I've learned enough and I'm in. So I think that following is a really good starting point. So then, you want to add? Because I would like to just cover
that's fine.
Safely gains. Gains is a really difficult one, but let's start at the top of the pyramid, bottom of the pyramid, Bitcoin, and work our way up. So off memory, Bitcoin has achieved 350% a year.
200 compounded.
200 without compounding.
200 with compounding, yeah.
Every year since inception, do you exclude the first 4 when it went insane?
No, that's 200% a year.
Okay, so 200% a year growth Bitcoin has achieved year on year since inception. So there have been 2, this is averaged, obviously. There have been 2 years out of 11 or 13. What are we on? 2009.
Yeah, 13, yeah.
13 years. 2 of those 13 years, in that year, it made a loss. But when we take it over the course of time and average it out, it averages at 200% a year.
If you hadn't removed any, if you just hodled it.
If you just held it. Yeah, if you didn't. Obviously, if you move it, it would change anyway, but like as a chart. So somewhere within that, we have these huge rises. You know, Bitcoin can go up, it's gone up 10,000%. We can have some huge drops. And then what you have is every other coin from then in. All we're talking about here is accumulation. We're talking about buying a house for 100 grand, selling it in 10 years for 200 grand. You had 100% price appreciation. It's the most simplest, easiest way we look at crypto is appreciation. Sorry, not accumulation, appreciation. So the gains that Bitcoin made in the early days when it would rise 10,000%, we can achieve up to that with some of the coins that are built today. You can get it with a layer 1. So you can get a layer 1 that can pump thousands of %. But if you're a steady Eddie, if you're coming into the market today and you're looking at the top 5 layer 1 coins, Ethereum, Bitcoin, Solana, Polkadot, XRP probably, you might not see those 10,000% gains, but in exchange for not seeing them, you're seeing stability and platforms that are being built on over the course of time. These are your, I'm going to call them blue chips. Blue chips, dark blue and light blue. But you should quite comfortably in any given year, and I would say that with all of them, you should still see a clear 100 to 200% gain in all of them.
If you took a long-term view, for sure.
Yeah, you're averaging out.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, look at this. What is Solana this year? If you put, which is a layer 1 token, if you put $1,000 into Solana this year in January, you would now have 77 grand. That's a 77x, which is a 7,700% gain.
Yeah.
If you'd have put 1,000 into Polkadot this year, you'd have a 34 grand, which is a 3,400% gain. This is just this year. So I think it's fairly safe to say that any one of these layer 1 tokens taken over the course of my average is 4 years. If you can stay in crypto for 4 years, you can clearly achieve 1,000% gains. Because within a 4-year cycle, if you're safe about it, obviously there's 10,000 coins. We're talking based on the first conversation about massively stripping this down. But over the space of a 4-year, I think 1,000% gain is, if I'm honest, modest.
It is, but for enough, I mean, anywhere else, where are you going to get that? Anywhere else outside
That's why
crypto?
stick with conservative.
So flip it back to the conversation which we just finished, which is like, what type of investor are you? How much can you afford to lose, and why are you in crypto?
What are you looking for?
What you're looking for. Is 1,000% enough for you? Do you feel like you're missing out? Is it you're trying to preserve your wealth? You're trying to accumulate it? Because you can do both in those instances. You're going to preserve your wealth and you're going to accumulate it in that instance. So it's ticking 2 of those boxes from 2 of those personality types in that instance. So, you know, with crypto, there's so much noise, so much opportunity, but it might just be okay for you, and you've got to be cool with that, right?
Why don't we share? When we did the first Knights Fund, our goal was a 4x or 400% return. Yeah. So, yeah, 400%.
Yeah, plus 400%
return. And we bought, and then we did exactly what Tara did. Within the space of a week, we had, this was the March crash, wasn't it? We had like a 50-60% dump. So we put 30 grand in, whatever we put in, boom, immediately down to 15 grand. And we were, a group of us all came together, like 3 of us, and did it all together. And we were gutted, but we looked at it and we were like, well, you know, I'm digital asset news. When you see a dump, ask yourself, is it broken? No. Has the market fundamentally changed? No. Is half the world banned? And, you know, is something fundamentally changed? No. Well, then it's just a Tuesday. What do they say? Like a 20% drop in the stock market, people are killing themselves. A 20% drop in the crypto market is a Tuesday. So if you know nothing's changed, carry on. So we carried on with the fund. And then it went down, and then eventually up, and the 30 became 60, becomes 90, becomes 120K. And I remember the time when we were like, we're here, we're at 4x. And it was a really weird dichotomy, because half of us knew we were still in an upward trend. And you can feel greed coming in, and you're like, well, why would we sell now if we're in an upward trend? But then we all had to go back to basics, and we were like, we wanted a 4x. We got a 4x. Where on earth do you get a 400% return? Exit. And we exited. And it doesn't matter what happens. We all agreed that once we exit and the money's crystallized, that if some of us chose to buy some of those coins again, then we would do it. But we felt the practical practice of actually selling that stuff, owning it and choosing what to do next was worth more than the bit of the gain we would have lost.
That's it.
So I want to share that, because when it comes to all these gains and everything, it's crazy. But, you know, anyone that's been in crypto long enough, if you've got your cameras on, like, and I'm asking you as well, have you ever ridden something right up to the top, seen how much money you've made, and then watched it peter over the end and just drop all the way back down? So raise your hand if you've had a shitload and then woke up the next day to find out that you don't have a shitload. There we go. 4 hands. 5, 6. I was waiting for that one. So if you're in the 5-year game and you're riding, and it's part of your investor strategy is and buying safe things and long term, you're going to see that.
I would just caveat that with saying that that was an experiment for us to sort of enter into. So we've got our own portfolios and we're willing to go super high risk speculation, and we wanted to learn together. But we in our heads, we allocated a portion of our funds that we'd already made profits on, or from our portfolio that we were comfortable with speculating on and being risky with. And that's why we set that target. So we had some clear outcomes around that. It wasn't buy and hold. We knew we were going to exit. And so therefore it was a smaller percentage of our funds. And I think it was about 4 months, was it? 4 or 5 months that the whole process took. So, you know, those are the, you know.
Yeah, March till June, July, something like that.
Yeah. So it wasn't super pump
but
time.
we're really clear in the strategy there.
Yeah, exactly.
This conversation like comes about because we're like, why are you here? What are you looking for? So if we're going to talk about gains, before we can talk about gains, I mean, look, there's strategies right now. If you're willing to play the moonshot strategy, 10,000% gains are standard, pretty standard, yeah. But the amount of energy and work it takes to play moonshot strategies, you've got to be on it. You know, it's almost a job. But if you're willing to do that for 2-3 months, can you turn 10, 20 grand into 200, 500,000? Of course you can.
You seriously need to know what
you need seriously to be on it, and it's not trading. It's effectively playing. What is it? How casinos win? They only need to be like 0.5% above chance, and over the course of time they win. It's a bit more like that. Like you'll win 1 in 10 bets. So you bet 20 bets, you're going to win 2 of them, but you have to bet every bet to find those 2. So gains is ridiculous. So big. Yeah, sorry.
Has Alan got his hand up?
I think Alan's just resting his hands. Alan, you're resting your hands. You got a question?
I'm resting my hands.
All right.
Okay. Normally,
I'm resting my head on my hands.
Rest your head on your hands. So gains is bonkers, and we're only talking about appreciation here. We're not talking about cash generating assets. So within appreciation, within appreciation, I think it's fair to say that safe coins, given over the course of the next few years, quite comfortable, a couple 100% a year.
Yeah.
And some of them, without going crazy, could easily do 10x quite comfortably within, you know, if you had a selection of 20 coins over the space of 4 years, a couple of them, statistically speaking, would 10x. Which then you've got to go back to that original question. What am I looking for? Why am I here? And if it does 10x, am I leaving the money in? Or am I taking it out? And if I am taking it out, where am I putting it?
Yeah.
Do I buy gold? Do I put it back in the bank where it depreciates? Do I buy a house? Maybe Louise will use some of her funds to buy a house. Do I reinvest it into other crypto? If we're talking about cash generating assets, I don't know if that's more bonkers or less, probably more, but anywhere from safely 10% a year.
Yeah.
Safely within.
Very bottom 3-4% on Bitcoin if you want to stay, you know, lend your Bitcoin.
So Bitcoin specifically, a couple of the things where you earn interest is 3 or 4%, which sounds really low, but if you're coming from a TradFi, you get a strong 3 or 4% a year. That's,
yeah,
especially if it's safe.
Yeah.
But I would say across the board, you could average out an 8 to 11% gain with incredibly low risk. I mean, so much low risk now that with crypto insurance, you can insure all of your crypto held in one of these platforms against theft, hack, loss. What do they call it? Impermanent loss, where if the value of a stable coin drops, they pay the difference. On my bucket list, on my list of things to do is to contact is to do some research to find out what am I not covered for. If I put my money on this exchange here and I insure it and it's earning me interest and I've got the insurance, of what instance am I not covered? And it might be like a personal hack, I don't know. But I would say 7 to 11% cash generating income is super low risk. And then there's a middle section which gives you somewhere between 20 and 50. A little bit more risk, a little bit more management, and then you're moving into another section which is 100 to 300%. Newer levels of risk. Some of them then drop, and I'm thinking about things like Zort. Where do I put the risk of Zort? I wouldn't put it up there with some of the other high yips, but it's more than Celsius. And then you go up to
20,000%,
30,000%, 40,000%. These things are hot. You know, you might be in it for 7 days, out of it, moving it somewhere else. And this is what we call farming. And it's crazy and it's insane and it's full of food memes and tomato coins and aubergine farm. And no, we did a whole call just on that. So I'm not going to go into it. So if you're looking for steady ediness, then I would, sorry, I was reading those comments. If you're looking for steady ediness, then you stick in the lower sections, really.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think if you're new to crypto, you need to start you know, deciding whether you want to hold stuff or whether you do actually want to earn on it. And I think once you're in it, you look at the opportunities, you think, well, there's no reason for me not to do so. And at that point, your risk strategy changes. I think it has over time with all of us, hasn't it? You know, the risk strategy and the way you kind of reallocate profits or just redistribute your portfolio into different options for you, basically. So just checking the time. I've only got
I know.
10
I'm just
minutes.
thinking we wanted to cover rebalancing.
Yeah.
I'm curious. I just want to ask Ben a question. Ben was the one that sparked the conversation in the chat around portfolios. I don't know, Ben, are you still with us at the minute? Are you washing, eating?
No, I'm still here.
Yeah. So I'm just curious, from your perspective, because obviously we've known each other for quite a while now. Is there an aspect of portfolio that you think is worthwhile to be discussed or asked about that maybe we're completely missing? Just curious of your perspective on it.
No, I mean, I think it was really helpful. I mean, as you know, my problem is that I was a follower from 2017, and I've just got this ridiculous amount of altcoins in my portfolio that I can't even keep track of, you know. And so I'm looking to simplify. And so I just found it really useful. I had heard about the DPI coin and the MVI coin, and I'm trying to simplify, so I'm trying to stay off too many exchanges, but I do have KuCoin, so I can get the DPI coin. But no, it was really, I was just interested in how you had, you know, because you and Richard, you've just thought so deeply. I mean, we're just so blessed to have you and your expertise and your experience, because you're just constantly thinking about this and constantly evolving your own ideas and growing your knowledge base. And it's just really fascinating to watch, you know, how you are evolving. And I just found that portfolio, layer one portfolio that you'd put up interesting, and was really relieved to find that, you know, there might be a simpler way for me to, you know, and my wife in particular, who's not into crypto or finance at all, to, you know, to be able to follow the DeFi space with that DPI coin. Of course, you know, the bigger question is, how does this fit in with your bigger portfolio? You know, and that's a whole nother can of worms. You know, do you have anything? Do you have a portfolio? And if so, you know, how is that currently invested, and how does this fit in with that? But no, I don't want to distract you. I think you need to get on with the rebalancing piece. And I really appreciate this call and all the calls you do and all the experience and expertise and insights that you share with us. We're just blessed to have this group and to have you guys.
I appreciate that.
Thank you, buddy.
Thank you very much, man. I think they're like, the majority of my portfolio, another couple of that I manage with the people, like certainly some of yours, that they're heavily weighted in layer ones, and this is without us thinking about it. This has just naturally fallen that way, layer ones. And then I only recently, in the last couple of months, discovered DPI and MVI, and the more I looked at it, I was like, why am I wasting my time? You know, even sometimes just to rebalance, and well, I'll come on to that right now. It takes a while when you've got multiple sites, multiple portfolios, and multiple groups you're working with. It's not quick and easy. Even if you're managing and tracking all with stuff like Coin Tracker. And just to quickly, I think he's left now anyway, but Neil asked for the best coin tracking software. There's a few, but Coin Tracker for me works the best as long as you're not too super complex. But I think MVI, DPI, and layer ones, it does make the most sense. I have a whole other portfolio which is not that, but that's my wild card projects and gambles and all sorts. And it's, if I'm honest, it's a bit messy and convoluted, and there's a bit of crossover.
But still, it's still part. If you take all of your portfolio, it's still a wedge within the greater part of your portfolio. If you just, you know, but it's weighted by risk, right? You know, you weighted naturally and over time into safer layer ones, and you just split it down. You might, you know, early on we sort of used to talk about anyone that's coming into the space that wants to be an accumulator and a preserver. You know, you want to be 50 to 60% in Bitcoin and Ethereum first and foremost before you start looking at anything else. That's decision one made. You know, if you've got $10,000, you're putting £6,000 or $6,000 into Bitcoin and Ethereum before you start thinking about anything else.
That's if you want. That's if
you're a preserver, or an accumulator.
Because they're the tried and tested. Yeah. The time has spoken, the market's spoken, big institutions have spoken, governments have spoken. They're the only two that really have proven themselves, even though they're not perfect. Yeah, they have proven themselves.
So from a portfolio standpoint, you've got 40% of your 40% of your $4,000 left in this instance. So you know, you at that point you might say, well, I'll put 20% into those two DPI funds and the Metaverse funds if that's your bag, or it might be, say, layer more. You know, it might be the layer two. Sorry, the layer twos. Layer ones is Bitcoin and Ethereum, for example. 20% in layer twos, and then 20% might be your more speculative coins, which you're willing to take a higher risk on, because then you're balanced. You're going to make 100 to 2% or 200% on the biggest part of your portfolio, and you might lose. You know, the value of your higher risk portfolio might go down, but it might also have asymmetric gains within your portfolio to sort of balance things out. But you know that you're going to have to spend more time on that, and so you know that there's a level of control that you need to exercise in your portfolio around that. But you know, I was just looking at. I mean, what do you think about that? Yeah, I'm just going to try and post something into here. I mean, when you're talking about trust, and people to follow, one of the best people you can follow is Coin Bureau on YouTube. He's on YouTube.
And every week, Ben usually forwards one or two. He has a Twitter group. Yeah. So he writes fairly lengthily, because a lot of people don't write like he writes. Messages, I suppose. So you'll see them coming through in FLTs, and I would actually say, of all the people I know in crypto, do probably trust Guy the most at the minute. Like he is, it's really genuine.
High trust.
High trust. Yeah.
I'm just going to post. I was just going to say though, is it worth posting? I'm just going to post that in there. I'm just posting it in the Telegram group. His split.
Make sure you put some context around it.
Yeah. I will do. Yeah.
Yeah, he posts every single week. He sends out a newsletter with the split of his portfolio. And we've talked about doing something like this within FLT, like having maybe not all of it, because we've got some, like Ben said, we've got some all sorts, but I think we could post the top weighting of our portfolio at least once a month. So it's just clear and people have got a bit of an idea, because I think we've avoided it because we didn't want people to just do it because we did it. But I get it. If I was in someone else's shoes and I joined the community and I trusted it, I'm just like, well, what's everyone else got? Because by rule of law of consensus, if everyone's kind of got these 10 coins, I'm probably safe. You know, if all of us went and ate in that restaurant, I can probably eat there and be okay. So I think that's a fair thing. I want to, it's past and I really want to honor people's time, but I want to try and do rebalancing and scalping in 2 minutes. Some of the projects I get into, I'm very aware of one metric for all of my coins: all-time high, ATH. When a coin hits its all-time high, there's a percentage it can keep going, of course. There's also a percentage, quite often more often than not, that sooner or later it was its all-time high and it drops. Because it's its all-time high, we're in what we call price discovery. We don't know what's going to happen, but at some point it will drop and it will be referred to as that was its all-time high. So it's the only metric I care about paying any attention to. And when any coin hits its all-time high, statistically speaking, I probably bought lower down. So it's all-time high will be very good in terms of return. I will do one of two things. I will scalp a little bit off because I call it free money. You wake up one day, your Cardano is at 30,000. You wake up the next day, your Cardano's at 72. And it's reached an all-time high. I call that free money because a week ago, it was at 30. $42,000 just materialized. And so I will scalp some of that off and put it into projects which range from super high risk to some whatever. Like I make them more. I call them windows of opportunity. When the window is open, I will go up, put my hand out, grab some fruit and bring it back into something else. Maybe I'll cash out. Maybe I'll help a friend out. Maybe I'll buy some more coins, whatever. But it's the only thing it's the only metric I can put some time into because all the rest of them, I just don't do them. But I can do all-time high. At the same time, I've only recently, in the last year and a bit, really understood rebalancing, whereby if you look at your portfolio and you've got 25% of four things, and then in 6 months you look at your portfolio, one of them's done really well. And now 50% of your portfolio is this one. And these are all, like 12, 13%. Rebalancing is where every 6 months or every year or every month, maybe, or a couple of months, most people 6 months to a year, you take the profits from this big one and then you reallocate them back down to here so that you've got back to that 25%. That's how you keep growing all of your bags. Because otherwise, if this one pumps and then you come back to it in 6 months and it's dropped back down again, you've missed all that. So rebalancing is something that's quite methodical. This is when I'm doing it, and I'm just going to rebalance. And it's been tried and tested over the years as one of the most effective ways of growing a healthy portfolio. Is that fair to say?
Totally, yeah, agreed. And it's I'll bring it full circle back again to you can't know that unless you've been measuring it over time and at regular intervals. You will not know it if you do not know your own profile, if you do not know your own financial situation, and you're not measuring your portfolio. If you're not measuring
if you're not measuring anything, you won't know anything.
You won't know anything, and you won't do anything. So you're going to be either, that's your choice.
I'm going to put someone on the spot now, and I apologize in advance. Alan, you know what I'm going to ask? You know what I'm going to ask you?
Go on.
Do you know what I'm going to ask you? Because you can just say yes or no, or I can ask you.
Have I done my coin tracker?
What's the answer?
I tried once, I got stuck. I'm going to come back to it.
Okay. Well, I only because you're a dear brother, and I know Alan personally, I wouldn't just press on anybody. Well, I probably would press on people, but I know that Alan wants to do it, and I really want Alan to do it, and I can't express when it comes to, we haven't talked about this here, but when you're really looking at money mindset, the universe will not give you more of something you do not love and respect and understand. It doesn't mean money is above something else. People have this, we have this weird dichotomy with money, especially if you're, I don't know if you're more equal, more sustainable. We just think money is this bad thing, but money is just a tool. But I like to refer to it as like a plant. I love all the plants in this house and in my house back at home, and I really do. But they're plants. Leaves die. New leaves are formed. I know it needs water. It needs a certain amount of sunlight, and I know that if it nearly dies, I can resurrect it. It's not dead. But you go away for 3 weeks, you come back, you're like, oh fuck, everything's drooping, but it's resurrectable. And so, but if I lost the plant, I'm not going to kill myself. It means the plant isn't above everything else. Money's not on a pedestal. But I want the plants to grow. I want to take little baby cuttings and make other plants with them. And that's the best analogy I found for money. And so if we really want to change our circumstances and change our environment, if we want to be able to help more, give more, live in a bigger house, clear down some parents' mortgages or debts or whatever, then if you don't start to love and respect and appreciate whatever it is in your life, do not be surprised if that doesn't go or grow anywhere. And coin tracking software is so needed because without it, we're just looking at numbers on a screen and we can see how much we have. We're not able to historically understand the movements and go, right, when this gets to there, I'm going to take action. You can even set an alert. It's built into most apps. When Ethereum hits this price, notify them. Built into Revolut, CoinGecko, CoinTracker, all of these things. But we can't make that alert unless we've
done the work.
We've done the work and we're looking at it. And it's that, I think it's the thing that most people I speak to struggle the most with. The client, I told you about the bank, the phone, has never flexed the muscle of once a week looking at his family. If anything, it's head in the sand.
Well, that's most people, because as I said at the start, we've never been educated to do it. It should be in school. It should be a skill we learn. But I think everyone, as I said before, is on this call because they want to raise their financial profile, whatever that might be. And we always say about having sovereign wealth, sovereign individuality. It takes time, and you're going to be rewarded by the amount of time you put in once you decide what you want from it.
Like anything in life.
Yeah, exactly.
So if you want help and support on that, Alan, you know I'm here. And even if that means I make some stuff and some videos and share things that will be useful for other people, I made that promise and that commitment to you. So just got it. But you got to lead it, bro.
It's technophobia more than anything. It's technophobia. If this was just pen and paper, I think it'd be easier.
I get that. And so we talked a while ago about a triangle of like risk, reward, technology, security, privacy, all these different ways you can factor it. If the technical need is higher than your technical ability, you won't do it. And if you set up security that's higher than your technical ability, you become the worst problem. So if what you need to do is increase your comfortability with the technology, then that's where the growth is. And this comes down to it's all about sovereignty. And if you're in crypto, you either are going to be or already have, most likely, being given and blessed with a completely new perspective of how you see finances. I cannot express how powerful that is. I've literally witnessed so many people's lives change that have either come through FLT that I've worked with in the last, some of them 18 months, but definitely if you've been in it for longer. And so we've never practiced that before. And I don't care. I'm going to be really harsh to everyone here. I don't give a shit what it takes you to do for you to up level, whether you have to just sit down and look at a spreadsheet once a week, whether you need to do coin tracker, whether you just need to actually buy your first crypto because you spent 6 months researching it and you still haven't fucking pulled the plug, do it. That's why the first thing on our module is go and buy crypto. We don't even talk about what it is. You go where you choose Bitcoin or Ethereum and you spend $50, $100, whatever, because that's the hardest. It's like the breaking of the ice in a cold room when everyone wants to speak. Then, where are you? Why are you here? And what on earth have you just bought? So like, I can't, all of these things, whatever is stopping each of you getting to this next level of something, that's what I talk about, the gateway and the window in. We talk about financial sovereignty, but all that is just as soon as you're working on any aspect of your sovereignty, in this instance, financial sovereignty, what will come up is all of your shit, all of the things you don't want to do, your avoidance, you're scared, that I felt, that Rich has felt, we've all done it. I phoned him before now to ask for help, to click a button, to press sell. I was in fucking turmoil. I've sworn a lot right now, but I'm quite pepped with it all. Like it, and right now in that moment, I had attachment parts. I couldn't let go. And I remembered that moment. He's like, well, let's do it together. And that helped a lot. Yeah. And I've overcome that now. Now I don't have emotions over that side of things, but it brings up whatever is the thing that needs to be brought up. And that's why I really love it. It pervades all aspects of ourselves and society and also. So wherever you guys are at with whatever you're doing, just own it. Because you know what, I'm really struggling with this. And either go in the group and say, anyone else experiencing this, guarantee you 3-4 people will say, I had it or I'm there right now. Or go in the group and say, who can help me with this? And just know that these calls every other week are everything from talking and sharing to coaching to everything calls. If you're going through it, someone else is. And if you're willing to be vulnerable and go through it together collectively on a call, you'll not only hugely help yourself, but you will vastly help other people as well.
Yeah.
So we're 11 minutes over. I think that's way over enough. We seem to be going over every week. I will call it there.
Cool. Yeah.
We do these calls every couple of weeks. If they are useful for you, we would appreciate you sharing with other people, purely because we actively want to be part of onboarding and more people of getting into crypto. I wish you a really good evening, day, and morning, and night, wherever you are. And we will be back in a couple of weeks' time. Until then, take care. Message in the group if you need anything. I hope this has been very valuable and useful for all of you.
Yep. I just encourage people to ask as many questions as they possibly can, because it helps. That feedback gives us more, enables us to give you more of what you want. And don't be scared to ask whatever level of question you're at. We've answered them all, and we're more than happy to do that, but it enables us to help you better. So just ask more questions.
All right, guys, take care. Thank you very much. Tara, thank you for joining for your first call.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
See you now.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.